Alrighty, guys, time to wrap it up for today. It's 3:30, and so kind of died off here in the afternoon. Had this little runabout here after this little sell-off. Run getting into the noon hour. A little bit same story there on the ES. See a little run down, and then they started trickling back up again, slowly grinding. But I had to say, it's been nothing but a sloppy trading day. Back and forth and no follow through whatsoever on anything, but enough sometimes that you would get caught if you try to fade it. It's been one of those days for sure. So I tried a couple of trades here. I mean, this morning we said the analysis was range bound. We're looking to sell the edges pretty equally. I think Nasdaq was a little bit stronger than I thought. They took out the resistance areas and definitely started taking out this session high at the 600. So Nasdaq showed a little bit more strength. There was a little bit more to trade on that one on the way up here. Definitely a little bit more momentum, but it's so volatile. It's just this is crazy. So the first two trades I took was on the ES, and that was kind of in the early on here. And it was a shitty start of the day, I have to say, because I got caught. I was watching this run down, support held, kind of sloppy. We started taking out the mean, started extending past the mean. So I got in on the one on the when it started moving higher, kind of a momentum trade to the upside. They were down here. They were down here first, and then started heading higher. So I figured I had a shot at least taking a little bit higher, but I got caught in that one. And then look at how far they ran it down there from the high there, 66 down to the 40s. So that is like 25 points against you. So it's not much you can do. I repaired it once when it headed down to the mode here, and it just let it stop me out at the minutes. I figured this is as crazy. So. Uh, Making that trade even twice as big would have been an even worse decision because they could easily take that down here and run the stops below the obvious. And when it moves like that, there's not much you can do about it. So I tried another trade on the way back up here. Figured that okay, here we have a shot at potentially running back down here, retesting that low. So this usually, when it looks like this, sometimes you can just run up and then it started pretty good fake out to the downside. And it turned into be just the opposite. So the way back up here, they squeezed it all the way back up to the high again and then some. I got caught on both sides of that. Like, okay, this sucks. So that's just trading in the middle out or trading in the middle when it's sloppy is just a little bit fraught with risk. Now, both assumptions went wrong here. So I was done at 126 in those two trades. But it's three trades, two contract and one contract. So I kind of stopped at that point and figured, okay, this is not working out well. Took one more trade on the Nasdaq. That was this first runabout here on the first retest here. Decent retest failure. Got short. Got a nice $57 trade out of that. So I made about half of it back, but I haven't tried to re-engage it since. I haven't really found the opportunities. And there's no point in being super aggressive on it. That's just a recipe for getting yourself caught in something. So after they kind of ran out of gas here, first run down here, that was a little bit too fast. Slop and then a big rotation down and back up again. Same on the ES. Kind of sloppy and then not as violent as the Nasdaq, but nonetheless, just flopping around the mean is kind of what this is. So fading the edges would have worked pretty good if you can find an edge, find a well-defined edge to lean against. There has been few and far between, that's for sure. Down here was a decent edge if you wanted to get aggressive. Up here you had a retest failure and a potential retest failure, but it's one of these things. I mean, it's just one sloppy trading day. Nasdaq did actually take it a little bit higher, so a little bit positive on that side. But I would say that we're starting off pretty much range band going into the overnight Sunday. Now remember, tomorrow morning, tomorrow is Juneteenth. The holiday markets are closed. The futures markets close at 1 Eastern. It's going to be a half trading day. I'm not going to open the room tomorrow. But the ES range bound hasn't really gone very far in the bigger picture. So your capital flow, you can see just holding. They're holding above this 7,500. So that's a good sign, but not necessarily running it back up again. So modestly optimistic that we can get it back up again next week. But I would start off range bound right now the way it looks and pay attention to the edges here. So they start taking out the 75.80s or taking out the lows here at the 75.30s. we may have a direction, but chances are we are just going to close right about this area. I don't think it's going to go very far. Nasdaq also there, so this is also one of those areas. It's easy to start over trading at the end of the day, trying to make some money back. This is just a recipe for you to get caught in a shitty trade. It does not moving enough, and there's no follow throughs, and then you get a little bit follow through, and then nothing, and then yeah, difficult stuff. So just sloppy, and it's hard to say here when it start taking out the highs. If you're thinking that they're going to try to take it higher, and but they're really just flopping around a little bit lower, back up again, taking out the prior rotation, takes you out on the upside, then right back down again. So I didn't try to re-engage this. I'm watching it still. If we may get a little pop here in that 1250. I took one more trade on the ES yesterday. I kind of missed it at 1250 my time or 350 Eastern. Usually, like 10 minutes before the close, you'll notice some crazy stuff happens right there. It's like the last 10 minutes of the trading day. There's some liquidation, some active trading going on pretty much every time there. So it could pop, it could rotation. Yesterday was one of those. They were just back and forth, up and down violently. There was no directional move to it. But watch that. So if that starts taking off in the last 10 minutes, that could be a nice potential directional trade to make up some amounts here going into the close. But be really cautious about it because it's usually pretty sloppy at the time. So Nasdaq, I would start with a slight bias to the upside. They haven't shown a little bit more strength. They're kind of right back up here again. So on the Nasdaq side, I would start from the long side. Look at the buy weakness down here to that the 580 to 600. But they are definitely holding in a good range. So Nasdaq looks pretty strong going into the overnight on Sunday, Monday. So I would start looking to buy weakness against that 650s and the 590 to 600s rotations up. If they head down below this area, the 580s would just be back a range bound on that one. So there you have it. That's all too. So net for me and down 126 on the ES, up 57 on the micro Nasdaq, and that's smart enough not to try to overtrade it today. And so it's easy enough to dig that hole deeper if you aggressively try to trade it. It's just not going anywhere. As you see, it's just a little pop and then stop and the reversal and back and forth it goes. On the bond side of things, we are sitting here with a slight grind to the downside, backing off a little bit, but it's a pretty slow grind. They were all the way up here to 1328, so a pretty good move to the upside on the bonds. Now they're backing off just a little bit. If they can hold that 1308, it'll be in good shape, I think, to stay on the long side. I'm going to buy against that 1308, maybe even not to 13s. But so buying weakness on the bonds, at least to get started. And we'll see if this is just a drift to the downside or not. It is option expirations today as well. The news was mixed today, not the big move one way or the other. But it's a quadruple witching observed at today. It looks like. This is my news calendar. So we'll see. Anyway, that's the bonds. Back to the cryptos have been moving pretty good. I haven't traded them though today. I had to kind of watch them a little bit, but you can see in the cryptos been moving pretty good. It has been lighter volume than I would like to. They take 32,000 on the silver so far. There's like 60,000 on gold. Oil is up at 10. That's 10,000 contracts on the gold contract. So that's going to roll soon. It's in one day and it's going to roll. So yeah, the Bitcoin and the Ethereum futures just going sideways, kind of sloppy the way they look. So I haven't traded any of the cryptos today at all. But back to the ES and the Nasdaq, and so ES we start range bound. Nasdaq we start with a slight bias to the upside. So far today, it's kind of a mixed day. That's down a little bit based on these first two trades. But I mean, the only thing you can learn from this: don't try to trade a slop. That's kind of my mistake. I thought got in here. As soon as I got in here and got caught, I tried to scratch it, but they were, as you can see, there was just no relief. There was no shot of getting out of it. The next trade maybe a little bit too aggressive, but sometimes you get this rundown, and it's just the beginning of a pretty good move to the downside. But it wasn't happening today. So today was just a sloppy range bound trading day. So there you have it. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. I'll see you back on Monday morning. Tomorrow is, as I said, health holiday, so enjoy it, and I'll see you back on Sunday. All right, guys, later.